Enchanting and Spellcrafting are two systems in Oblivion Remastered which give you the power of a god, able to destroy swaths of monsters with one spell or slap a Dremora lord with an Iron Dagger of Doom. After making two videos explaining each mechanic, a lot of people have struggled with understanding how the order of effects works when it comes to enchanting and spellcrafting. Well, in this video today, I'm going to show you practical examples to give you empirical evidence as to how this all shakes out so you can better understand how to make your super weapon or spell. In my typical fashion of upfronting the knowledge of my videos though, let me give you the down and dirty of what we'll be saying. Enchanting really comes down to one hard truth. Enchanting your elemental damage of any type, followed by a corresponding weakness to that elemental type, and then lastly, weakness to magic. It's truly the king of damage. In the video, I'll show it taking something like 20 seconds to kill a savage ogre with the reverse of those effects, then putting them in the proper order kills it in 3 swings. It's disgusting. As far as spell making goes, though, it's not so cut and dry. The debate is between two schools of thought. Do you add all effects to one spell, your elemental damage, elemental weakness, and then magic weakness, or do you split it into two? One spell to do your weaknesses, which you can cast first, then your second spell to do the elemental damage. From what I can observe, the single spell method has a higher mana cost and slower damage ramp, but still does great damage. The two spell method is much more mana efficient and has a faster damage ramp though. The result is that it comes down to your preferred style. If 2 spells is annoying, then go with 1 and you'll be just fine. The damage won't kick in though until cast 3 or 4, but when it does, it's a big boom. But that's too long to watch this entire video, and if that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to shut the video down. I want to be respectful of your time. You can also navigate to any part of this video that interests you the most using the chapters about the timeline in the description. If you do end up heading out though, and you found the information in this video helpful, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those helps me out in a huge way. Lastly, don't forget to check me out on Twitch, where I stream this game and plenty of others linked in the description and the pinned comment. But let's get started on, does the order matter in enchanting and spellcrafting in Oblivion Remastered? Loading into the game, we're going to start off by talking about enchanting. Now, we've gone through this before in my enchanting video, but just to kind of rehash very quickly, I'm going to be using an Akaviri katana with a greater soul gem that has a greater soul in it. Now, we know that the application of enchanted things is sequential from top to bottom. A lot of people have been asking, why is it that you wouldn't do this? Because this is the first one we're going to show off. Because this is how you would assume it would work. And we're just going to do 5 seconds of, or 5 damage here for 1 second. Doesn't need to be any more for this example. So sequentially, this is what people would assume is the proper way to apply the magical effect of things. But actually, we want this reversed. We want fire damage first, then weakness to fire, and then weakness to magic on strike. As I've illustrated in that enchanting video, weakness to magic will apply multiple times. Weakness to fire only applies once. So what happens here on repeated hits, the first hit we don't care about. On repeated hits of this weapon, the weakness to fire is going to get amplified by weakness to magic exponentially. So it's going to double it, then double that number, then double that number. And that doubling of this number thus increases this damage value. So to put this into actual practical terms, let's take this whole thing and let's go find a monster and attack it to show you the damage it does. So again, weakness to fire on. We want to make sure too that the seconds on this are just a little bit longer. We'd probably want it even maybe even like 5 seconds, but 3 is just fine. We're just swinging as many times as we want because we're going to refresh the time on these every time it applies to the target. And this just needs to simply be 1 second. It can be more. There's ways to get more damage out of things by basically, okay, so you can do 10 damage here, or you could do 5 damage for 2 seconds. And it would cost you less overall against your total, what you can do. So that's what we got. If you've watched that video, Red Rocket Doom is coming back here. And this is the sword we're going to go test. So let's go find a monster. We found ourselves a monster, and just to quickly make sure that we are using the same weapon we showed off, just so there's no like tomfoolery here, we're using Red Rocket Doom, weakness to magic on strike, then fire, then the fire damage. So this is going to be our first example here. We're going to go through here and attack a savage orc. It's a nice thing to do because we're just going to basically use the same one twice. Oh, you got to miss every time you swing, huh? So you can see we're doing damage. Not bad, huh? Right? We're just kind of hitting this thing. Taking a lot of swings. We're getting there. And it's dead. So now that you see how this works in this form, let's reverse the order and see how long it takes to kill that ogre. I don't know, this is a 40-second clip. I think it took 20 seconds to kill that ogre, something like that. Coming back to our enchant screen, here's our proper order once again. So fire damage first, then the weakness to fire, then the weakness to magic on strike. And just to rehash it one more time, the weakness to magic is going to amplify this. That number will double over the multiple hits of this weapon, or it will double each time you hit, thus increasing the magnitude of damage this fire damage on strike works. People have asked me why that's like that. I'm not smart enough to tell you why. It's just the way the game's code works, and I'm going to show you the actual proof that this actually is how it works. So I'm going to press enchant here. I'm going to go back to that ogre. So here we have the red rocket doom once more, fire damage, then weakness, and weakness to magic. It's equipped. That ogre is already saucy with me. And we're just going to go to town. And you can see how much fast that is. Every single hit, it's like 3-4 hits, he's dead. It's like, it was a 16-second clip. 5 of them were me rambling. So every single hit is amplified with this weapon. Every hit takes the damage that we've made with the weakness to magic, and that increases the weakness to fire's percentage, thus then increasing the fire damage that we do. Let me see if I can get another one real quick. Is there something around here, right? Maybe somewhere? Who knows? I haven't gone through this dungeon yet, so I know they're around here somewhere. You know, the savage orcs or ogres are always just around the corner lying in wait. But you can see in the practical example of this, how much more effective that is, right? And it's huge. It just really rips right through it. So this is why this is such a strong base form of an enchant, and why this can be really turned up to a disgusting amount, because you can really bring in so much damage from this very simple enchant. Now for spell making, things are a little interesting. I've seen a number of sources that tell me you can just make the spell much like you would when you're enchanting, where everything is encompassed in the same thing. Fire damage, then the weakness to fire, then the weakness to magic. But I've also seen a number of sources that tell me I have to split it into 2 separate spells. A weakness spell like this and a damage spell like this. We'll go over how to make those in a second. So let's test both. And from my anecdotal experience, and you tell me if you feel the same way, it feels like this route is the easier but less mana efficient route, versus the other one has a faster ramp of damage. So let's show you what that means. Let's take boom here and let's go attack that ogre. So 1 cast doesn't do much damage. 2 casts. The 3rd cast here, I have to quap a potion, and 4 casts kill it. So you saw that the damage was very small, then okay, then really big. So that same weakness effect was stacking. The argument can be made here that this would obviously be a lot crazier had I increased the damage numbers. But as I've said, and as I will say, the point is to show low damage numbers to give you a sense of how fast this exponentially grows. So let's reload this and take a look at the weakness thing and how we can actually make those spells real quick in the spellcrafting menu. Jumping back to the spell making place, the altar, we have our first spell, weakness. So this is going to do weakness to fire on touch. I've done on touch because it's a lower mana cost, and then weakness to magic on touch. The point of these is, again, not to use it once and then cast our damage spell, it's to stack it. So we would effectively want to cast this spell multiple times and then our damage spell. And then the damage spell will be modified by the stacked amount of weakness to fire on touch. So that's our first spell to make. Now, let's go back here and let's make our second spell, and it's just going to be simple. We're just going to do the same thing here. We can do this. This could be super high if we wanted to, but just for the sake of this video, I'm trying to show how a small damage amount can be amplified to a large number. It's why I haven't jacked the number on this through the roof. And the big thing too is we don't care about the duration on this, because we want the duration to exist on the weakness spell, not on the actual damage spell. We'll call this one damage. So now that we've got these 2 made, let's go back to the ogre and test them. Loading over here again, we have our weakness spell as number 1 on our quick shortcuts, and then the damage spell is number 2. So what you'll notice this time around is we're going to cast a lot, but the damage ramp is going to be much more sudden because we're going to cast weakness multiple times. Just like with our enchanting and with boom here, it's not the first cast or the second cast that really is the lion's share of the damage. It's the third and fourth casts. That's when the number's been grown so huge. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to cast weakness 3 times. As you can see, it costs 39 mana to do that. And then we're going to have near no mana because my character doesn't have a ton, but damage only costs me 4 mana. So it doesn't really matter to me in this instance. So again, 3 casts of weakness and then probably 1 or 2 casts of damage should kill this thing. So I'm going to switch over here to weakness. Cast number 1, cast number 2, and cast number 3. Switch to damage. Damage number 1, damage number 2. So you can see the ramp is a lot faster. It is a little more cumbersome though. So it's going to require me to be Johnny on the spot, which is a really fun term that I learned watching Banner Brothers, about swapping from the weakness spell to my damage spell. And I'm using touch for this example. If you're using target, what if you miss one of those spells? You're missing a damage ramp. It's okay though, because like I've said, if you apply weakness again, you're refreshing the duration on it. So it's not too huge if you miss one spell. You'll be able to just continue the ramp without having to rebuild your ramp up. So that's the big difference here. One is convenience, but you suffer from a mana perspective. The other is a clear and present winner when it comes to mana efficiency and a real drastic damage ramp. The damage ramp for the first one, let me go back to the magic thing, for boom was much slower, right? It took us 4 casts to really get this thing, well, booming. The total amount of casts here was 5. 3 for weakness, 2 for damage to kill. But you saw the amount of damage we did. If this magnitude was increased, it probably would not have taken a second cast, right? And if this thing was a harder target, I could have cast weakness a 4th time and then cast damage and for sure have nuked it. So that's something to consider as well. So which one is better? It's not like enchant, right? Enchant has a very clear winner of which one is the better way to approach spell making. But I think it's going to come down to you, the player. What is your magical pool like? Do you have the magical pool to play around with something that costs you more magicka for a convenience sake? Or are you someone who is, I'm just going to be a straight up mage, so throwing targeted weakness and then damage spells is the way to go for me? Those things are all something to consider. You could even throw invisibility self at the end of this, and then you're casting these weakness spells and you're invisible to then cast another one. So it gives you the advantage to kind of like move around and have a lot of mobility, which is a really cool thing to think about. So now you can see, because a lot of people have tried to replicate this across my enchanting video and across my spell making video. So I wanted to show you the actual practical examples of how both of these enchanting and spell making methods come to work. So you now can decide how you want to approach this. I showed you the touch versions. Feel free to go with the targeted versions of this, or again, just go ahead with the touch version and then decide for yourself. Bring it all into one, make it easy so you don't really have to think about switching back and forth. Or you know what? I like the manual system of switching back and forth and being able to pick and choose. Another route to this that I didn't show off or talk about is that weakness here could be applied in an area around me instead. So this makes it easy if I'm some sort of Spellblade character and I am in the mix up in front and close of like 3 or 4 ogres. I could be casting weakness in an area around me and then just boom, smash down a big area spell here as well. So don't think of this as a single target capability. You can play with this as a weakness capability or a weakness with a range. So you're throwing weakness balls of explosive weakness and then a big fireball on top of it. And of course, lastly, it doesn't need to be fire, right? This can be any element. You can stack multiple elements. Just make sure weakness to magic is at the end of your list of elemental weaknesses. But that is how this all works. If you want to show off any other really cool methods to approaching enchanting and spell making in any way that you've done in your playthrough, go ahead and let it be known in the comment section below. This is mainly to just show you that the order does matter and how you approach these is important, but it's ultimately going to boil down to how you want to play. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.